Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the pit lane. It feels like it's been almost a decade since I've been back. Every time there's a race weekend gap there where you just don't have anything, it feels like a decade. So good to be back. Welcome everybody. So, Hungarian Grand Prix, the Hungaroring as they call it, or Hungaroring otherwise. I don't know. It's a funny name, hilarious, but regardless, interesting qualifying session. Wouldn't say that there was a huge amount of drama until the very end. I mean, obviously we had Sainz going out there and the accident, but for all intents and purposes, it kind of played out how the practices were playing out too, with the Mercedes there on top. But let's just dive into it. Quick little note about the broadcast before everything started. Nico Rosberg in the booth. Nice little change. I really liked his analysis when they did the onboards with like Valtteri and everything with him going through the lap. He stumbled a few times there, but it's really nice hearing like a world champion that's won in this era of cars actually doing something and see his perspective on it. I really enjoyed it. I mean, everything he was saying, like little flip in the corner there, late braking there. I mean, it was all spot on, and I thought that he did a great job. I'd love to see him more and get more confidence up there in the booth doing play-by-play, or what is it, turn-by-turn in this instance. Other huge news going into 2022 season is Crofty dropping some cryptic tweets about him being for sure that Russell is going to Mercedes next year in place of Valtteri. And then on the other hand, Valtteri rumored to be going to possibly Alfa Romeo next year for a drive. I think it's super interesting, especially when it comes into Ferrari's driver instance, when they have a situation where they have a lot of good prospective drivers coming in, but not necessarily the cars to put them up there. I mean, Sainz, Leclerc, Schumacher, Giovinazzi, now possibly Bottas. And obviously, I think the odd man out in this situation is going to be Kimi, unfortunately. But, I mean, he's also in his 40s. They want to try to get some new life in the team. Obviously, Alfa Romeo being the Sauber team, front, you will. But we'll see how it goes going into the 2022 season. I think it'll be interesting. Ferrari having too many good drivers is not necessarily a bad problem to have. It was a tale as old as time, seeing Max go out there and just doing everything he can on the first go around just to send a message to Lewis, especially after the incident that happened last week, that, hey, I'm in the lead still. I'm going to try to take this the entire time. And then you have an issue with, for some reason, that second Red Bull seat, Perez just not able to perform in Q1. Obviously, getting there in Q3 had a better round there at the end, but he's still not on pace with Max, and you're hopefully starting to see the actual other drivers that have changed teams really starting to come into form. Kind of see it with Sergio. Ricciardo having a lot of problems still. We'll get into that later, so we'll see how McLaren's looking at everything, but all around, pretty uneventful Q1. Ultimately, Q1 was really the story of the second drivers. I mean, you have Perez, who is almost a second off Max's pace. You have Ricciardo, who's 6/10? Yeah, 6/10 off Lando's pace. And then you have the issue with Sainz coming out, having a great lap, having a great session, but his engineers sent him out at the wrong time. Possibly could get a time penalty for impeding someone's lap. And something happened that I wasn't really expecting, which was Mercedes sending Valtteri. I can't remember. Sending Valtteri back out on a used set of tires, just trying to get some data, maybe to tweak the wings a little bit more, and the aerodynamics going into Q2 and Q3. Ultimately, saw how it worked out, and by how much he got it by, I think it was a little chinky move there, some would say, and he got out there. So it seemed to work out for him in the end. So all the data they got there, Valtteri being the guinea pig, then wanting to set up Lewis's car. So it makes sense. Q2, so super interesting. A lot of the teams actually going for the soft tire instead of the mediums, which obviously in the regular qualifying setup, whatever car you qualify in Q2, that you go on to the Q2. So the top 10, if you qualify on a tire and you get through to Q3, you start the race on that tire. And seeing a lot of teams actually opting for the soft tire, which has not been the case in a lot of the races. Most of the teams are just going for longevity. Medium has been the way to go, but Red Bull going back out again to do another lap on the soft tire, so their entire weekend strategy has now changed. I thought that's going to be an interesting thing, how it's going to turn out next week, tomorrow. Still have to wait for that, so we'll see. had a little bit of hopeful action there, having Vettel up there. I think it was P3 for a hot second, and Gasly was up there with him. Obviously, nothing came of it, but I was really hoping for more from that. Obviously, though, the heartbreak of Q2, Carlos Sainz crashing out. I mean, it looked like he was possibly going to be able to get the car back around, but that front wing got up underneath that front right, keeping him from getting back to the pits. Ultimately, he was trying to do it, but the stewards were just like, nap, red flag the entire session so they could get him out of the car. You could clearly tell he was pissed. He knew he could get back around. One thing I did notice is that, like, when he hit the wall, I was really paying attention to it because obviously Max's crashed last week, but the foam pad that they had right here, I mean, he hit that wall pretty hard, like 90 miles an hour, and he shook it off like he was just fine. So padding worked, way to go. Car was still able to drive. He was trying to get another hot lap, but probably for the best. They don't know what type of damage is going on with the car, that they retire it, see what they can do going into Sunday's race. So we'll see how it all plays out for Ferrari. And I said I was going to talk about it again. Danny Rick, out in Q2. Again. Danny, we need you in the sport. Come on, I need you to get it. So we had Q3. We had Gasly and Lando out first. Lando going on a old pair of softs. I think he was just trying to get a feel for the track, see how the track was going to actually tread in on the final session before he actually switched over to a new set of softs, and did actually set a really good lap time there. Ultimately, we have Norris in P6, so it kind of worked out for him. If he had gotten quicker in the beginning, would he maybe have a different outcome in the second lap so he didn't have to come back in? I don't know, but the strategy's over, so we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. So talking a little bit again about Valtteri and him coming back out on the... So just talking a little bit again about Valtteri coming back out on Q1 on those used soft tires. Seemed to work out for Mercedes here at the end. They made the adjustments they need to, locking out the front line. So we have Mercedes 1-2, Red Bull 3-4, and then what do we have? And we have Gasly in P5. This is the AlphaTauri just going up there, and Tsunoda out in Q1 again. Like, I don't know how long Red Bull's going to hang on. You know that they get rid of drivers quickly, but they expect a lot from their drivers at the same time. I like Yuki. Hopefully he can stay in. And everybody's up in arms about Lewis Hamilton's last lap antics. Just Sergio didn't even get across the line. He didn't get a final hot lap, but it's an annoying move. It's allowed, and it worked in Mercedes' favor. Like, the only thing I think that he was doing, he knew he had the position, and he was just holding back as long as he could because he knew Max was going to have to go. Why would he not dirty up the air in front of Max and just kind of go at a leisurely pace, and Max has to get that dirty air back there? Of course it's going to ruin his lap. It's brilliant if you think about it. Like, absolutely brilliant. But people are mad. Who cares? But I bet the most hilarious thing is listening to Max's radio when he's like, "Come on, man!" I haven't listened to it yet, but I hope it's gold. Anyway, thanks again, everybody. This has just been the qualifying recap and my opinions on some things. I will see you again tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by. See you soon.